Welcome back to another edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again are my co-hosts, Richie O'Leary and Alec Crouthamel. A lot of stuff to talk about today, guys. It has been an eventful day. Earlier this morning, you guys spoke to Keli Zinn. She did a media scrum. Excuse me. We'll get into everything she said. And that'll piggyback nicely into Greg Schiano's weekly presser for the Oregon game. He talked some Oregon, and he talked some NIL stuff, which has been kind of going viral. So we will get into that. We'll show the entire presser and react to it. We'll also talk about around the Big Ten this past week. We'll get into kind of where the frustrations lie, and maybe there's a long post on the board about like why people are frustrated, and I kind of wanted to maybe pinpoint a few things and talk about a lot of stuff today. But before we get into any of that, real quick, podcast is presented to you by FanDuel. Rutgers opened this week as a 15.5-point dog and is now a 17.5-point dog. So that line has moved a little bit. I think it'll settle here, but I could also see it going up to like 20.5, maybe 19.5. But yeah, I would not touch that line, but the line is available if you would like to go bet it. You're about to say something, Rich?
Yeah, I was going to say there's also really other long posts on the boards. It's actually about how James Franklin should come to Rutgers for $3 million a year as a consultant, mind you. Yeah, no, there's a bunch of good stuff on the boards. That's actually on the new On3 mega board now, too.
Oh, wow.
It's somehow made
some of the best
there.
of the best of all of our boards on our network are on the mega boards. Definitely go check that out.
Yeah, I will say. Go on.
No, and none of these posts were the one that made message board geniuses this past weekend.
It's insane. It's like we're just super popular site. And actually, we confirmed it today that we are a super popular site because Shannon Terry put out a list and the top sites in the network in terms of audience, and we're up there.
Love to hear that. So you guys spoke to Keli Zinn this morning. You also spoke to the new, I think, head of revenue for the athletic department. Todd,
I believe his official title is Chief Revenue Officer. I think is his official title.
Okay,
I think,
and that's the hire that came over from Ohio State. Todd, what's his last name?
Nisley. He told us, I believe.
Todd Nisley. The K is silent. So
Richie, am I correct there?
I thought it was Nisley, but
one of the two. The K is silent.
The K is still silent. Yeah,
K is still silent regardless. You guys had about 20 minutes with Keli this morning to discuss basically anything that you guys wanted to talk about. She spoke a lot about NIL. She spoke about the new RNIL initiative, how, that's the new logo.
Yep.
How KTR has been sunset and it's been internalized inside the athletic department, and they feel like they have a good plan for how to raise revenue for student athletes in the next coming months and years. So what were some things that stood out to you that Keli Zinn had to say when you guys spoke to her this morning? Richie, I'll let you go first.
I mean, basically, she said one of the main things that I took away was that she said she hasn't been told no yet. And when it comes to, there you go, there's another picture. That's a different logo. Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 different logos, I think. So yeah, she was talking about NIL and talking about like raising money, and she just hasn't been told no yet, which is always interesting. I'm really intrigued to see how that's going to work right there, that recruiting pavilion, because is it still going to be a recruiting pavilion going forward, or is it going to be more of like what I think we've been suggesting forever and make it something for donors and stuff like that?
That would be cool.
But I thought that was really interesting. She also said, and RNIL, for people that don't understand, because there's a lot of confusion on the boards, and I did ask her about this too. RNIL is strictly for business purposes. So like NIL before, it was a collective. It was like, hey, me, you, and Alec can all throw $10 a month or $100 a month or whatever amount a month. And then that money will somehow get to the coaching staff, and they'll use that money however they see fit. It's not pay for play. It's never been pay for play, technically. But now that it's in-house, you have to go through a business to do it. So RNIL will strictly be about businesses, local businesses she's talked about. She talked about also going into New York City a little bit more recently than when she first got the job. So that they're going to try to expand that footprint a little bit. But also, if you want to donate like that monthly, you can do that. And it's not NIL, it would be revenue sharing. And that will be through the Athletic Excellence. So there is a big major difference between the two. Fans themselves can donate to the Athletic Excellence. and do a monthly plan, and you get priority points, you get all the other stuff that comes with it. Whereas our NIL is strictly for business purposes and strictly for like brand ambassadors and stuff like that. But the fact that I just can't get over the fact that she said no one's told her no so far. Like, it's got to be a pretty good sign in terms of fundraising and her fundraising capabilities. So.
Yeah, definitely. Alec, what about you? What were some things that stood out to you about what Keli Zinn had to say?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the similar things that we'd already heard, that Richie already kind of talked about. Just the general confidence that her and the rest of her staff have in terms of that they're going to be able to get this, that they're going to be able to get Rutgers into a good spot, into a really good spot. It's all about the future. In terms of what they're looking to do, how they're looking to put Rutgers in the best spot to succeed. And she said she's talked to a lot of coaches about, what they need and things like that. So it really seems like there's a lot of synergy. I know alignment is the big buzzword at Rutgers over the last few months, but it really does seem aligned in terms of what they want to do, how they want to do it, things like that. So I mean, it's only a matter of time will only tell if things do get to the standards that they want to set. But they certainly have the confidence. They certainly have the drive to go do it, which is two very big steps to take in order to get there. So I think it's a pretty good start. And I'm interested to see how the kind of landscape continues to evolve because, like we said, it's all this is really only for businesses because it's like the collective way of NIL doesn't really work as well anymore with the new rules because, you got to go through NIL Go, the Deloitte clearinghouse, all that. So, I thought it was interesting. She mentioned that, now that they're able to kind of get all that off the ground, they can go and do these deals without, other schools have not been able to kind of figure that out. Yeah, Rutgers is kind of ahead of getting that stuff figured out to where, to actually like thriving in the new environment of NIL. So they have the confidence and they have the drive. So pretty good start so far.
And you mentioned that they already had some NIL deals that they've sent through the clearinghouse and gotten back as accepted. So they kind of know, okay, this is how we're supposed to do it. We've seen the process go through the whole life cycle. We feel confident that we know what we're doing. An interesting thing I thought she said was that they currently have 2 full-time staffers for the NIL branch of the athletic department. There's plans to add an additional 4 full-time staffers devoted strictly to NIL, which the results are, TBD, but that's a clear plan and a clear investment in getting this off the ground and getting this moving forward that we clearly did not have. We had the half-assed hiring of a GM, Reed Zach, who I don't know about his competencies, but that it seemed like that didn't really move the needle at all when he was brought on. So it's nice to see that Keli Zinn gets it. Her and Todd have been at Ohio State and LSU respectively, so both of them know what the Death Star approach to this looks like, and so they know kind of like what they have to recreate at a more a smaller level here at Rutgers, but they know what it's supposed to look like, and they're trying to recreate that here. What else stood out to you guys? There was a lot she said. She went on for about 20 minutes. If either of you have anything additional that you can think of, feel free to just fire it off.
She said some really good things about how they're going to expand their creative media section of NIL, which I thought was really interesting because it's been, again, it's lacking. Like they're going to do the branding, as you just saw with the little stuff too, specifically. Like Alec just showed the recruiting pavilion, and it's slapped on the corner, it's slapped here, it's slapped on the jumbotron, it's already slapped on top of the boardwalk sign when you go down Scarlet Night Way. But on top of that, like you saw this at LSU, so it's going to be, from what I can understand, it looks very similar to what they called NILSU. Nice little play on words there. Where our NIL is going to be the same thing, where they're going to have podcasts with the coaches and the players, and they're going to have a bunch of stuff you can kind of get early access to. It's going to be a lot of innovative in terms of like media stuff. So I think you'll see, like they already teased a podcast technically. It's at one of the David Burke restaurants.
That's right. Yeah.
In East Brunswick, I think it was. Side note, you ever go to David Burke's restaurants? Phenomenal. And it's kind of got a different vibe too. It's like a little bit different, like kind of hipstery. So you're getting like a burger on like, what is it? English muffin. And then like you're, instead of bread at the beginning of like the meal. They give you like pretzel rods, and it's like this is why it's kind of weird, but smoked turkey that's like hanging on like smoked bacon that's like hanging off a stick, like it's wild. But very good, a little pricey, but worth. That being said, there's going to be a lot more stuff they're going to do in terms of like I'm looking out now. Like NILSU just did a fashion show for like LSU athletes. It's interesting. It's a different setup. They're going to be an app probably eventually at some point, I'm sure. But I thought that's interesting that they're trying to get more into the creative space and the creative media. So just stay away from our podcast. But I mean, hey, we will join you though if you ever need a podcast.
Always open to collaboration. Always looking for sponsors. Also, if any restaurants we might have just talked about want to
David Burke, baby.
Yeah, David
Homegirl
Burke.
finest.
I will never say no to free food. Yeah, just a lot of the like newer age stuff, and I think this also helps the creative media stuff with finding ways to get that the type of like new quote unquote new NIL they're looking for with the businesses and stuff like that. It really helps with the return on investment because that's really, when you boil it down, that's kind of the big thing when it comes to NIL. What am I getting back for the money I am putting in? Aside from just if I were to give such and such amount of money, I can help my team get a player, or help them pay players or whatever, something like that. That's really what it boils down to, especially for a lot of like the bigger businesses, things like that. They want to see a good return on investment, and kind of opening up the creative media field, I think, really does help with that and gives more opportunities for that as well. One thing that I also thought was pretty interesting, obviously, knowing where Rutgers is, knowing the two giant media landscapes that surrounds New Jersey, she was asked about, and just the overall, like, all the different industries and stuff like that, New York and Philadelphia. She was asked about, her work in New York, Philadelphia, New Jersey, things like that. She said, I believe her words were, "I'm seeing the most traction and optimism in New Jersey. And I also think that's in part the product of where I'm spending my time." So she's looking at the right areas in New Jersey, kind of trying to lock down the home state, which I think is a really good strategy. And like I said, they have the confidence and drive, and it seems like they're going in the right direction. So I thought that was another key point, that they're really trying to go after, getting potential deals like in New Jersey, because obviously New York City's there, but New Jersey is kind of like I know we say it's like a broken record at this point, like Rutgers, New Jersey, the sleeping giant thing. But I mean, if you can tap into it and kind of unlock it, it seems like that's what they're trying to do. So I think that's definitely a strong way to go about it.
Yeah, I agree. She's a lot of good things said in this presser, and looking forward to seeing these ideas and thoughts in action, because it seems like they're kind of readying up to the starting line, and we're about to be in, nut crunch time, for lack of a better term. We got the new portal window time frames that were just established by the NCAA. So starting January 3rd, that's when the college football portal window opens. And I imagine a lot of this initiative is gearing up to get a decent amount of money at that starting line, so Schiano can really go out and hunt when it comes to portal recruiting. Because I think that's also something that the football program is trying to beef up as well, like their football recruiting staff specifically for the portal, right, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, they already added a director of college player personnel, an assistant director of college player personnel. They're trying to build out an entire new branch for portal recruiting. And that's going to be the new normal. Like high school kids, you're just going to see less and less per year. Rutgers will probably still get a solid 10, 15. Heck, you could even say 20 in some years, depending on who wants to come on board, to be honest with you. But yeah, she did mention like that she is like, they're kind of fast tracking things. Like they're ready to go. They want to be ready to go by January to help out Schiano. Then Kelly even said, she's like, as soon as that's done, we're switching gears immediately, and we're getting ready to help Pike go and build his basketball team. Because that's just it's the new norm for every sport. You're gonna have to go portal hunting no matter what. So I'm intrigued to see how it goes. It sounds like she's very confident. Sounds like they already got a couple donors on board. Just got to keep the momentum going.
So this dovetails beautifully into the Greg Schiano presser, and after you've kind of heard us talk about this, you'll know why. Rich, if you don't mind pulling that up, we could watch it and discuss everything he said, and then get into a little bit of around the Big Ten and talking about kind of where the state of the team is currently at the midway point of the schedule.
All right. Just tell me if it's too loud.
Okay.
Because it usually is pretty loud.
That's pretty low, actually.
Okay.
Got back Saturday morning.
Perfect.
About 9 o'clock. You guys had off Saturday. And we got right back.
Probably go up a little bit more.
Sunday, and getting ready for what amounts to a really, really good Oregon team. I've been in the top 10 for 38 straight weeks, so I don't know if you have to say more than that, but I will. They're very talented, big, strong, very, very fast. Probably the fastest team we've played in a while. Coach Lanning does a great job. He's very impressive. He and his staff, not only are they very talented, but they're very well coached. They do a lot. They present a lot of schematic issues, and they're very, very efficient in situational football. So my hat's off to them. They're doing a great job, top 15 in both scoring offense and defense. And then I think their special teams are very well coached. In special teams, they do a lot. So they challenge you at every turn. They're very talented. But it's something that I know our whole program is excited about having the opportunity. It's great to get back home, be with our fans. We've already announced a sellout, which is exciting. So looking forward to getting into the week and getting our preparation underway. A great challenge for us. I'll open it up for questions.
I guess as you reviewed this, the most recent game film from the Washington game, I guess what did you see defensively and kind of where those defensive breakdowns continue to be, especially in the secondary?
Yeah, I think the biggest issue we're having right now is there's some explosive plays, right? And, when you talk about the plays that really got out, there was some unfortunate situations. We fell down twice, which in coverage, if you're playing man coverage, you can't do that, but it happened. I thought that they made some really good plays. They had a very nice catch in the end zone. We made a nice play in the end zone and knocked it out. They're a good football team. They're a very good offense. We knew that going in, and we just made some critical errors, and they capitalized on them. Found the open guy. We had some assignment errors as well, which why does that happen? That's the thing we need to get to the bottom of, and I put it on us. I put it on coaching. We have to get, my job and the coach's job is to equip and inspire our players. And we need to do a better job of that to get them to do it the way we want. Very talented team, as I said, Friday night after the game. So, yeah, we're getting better. Though we did a lot of good things, I think the late field goal at the end of the half was disappointing, right? The 3-play drive and then the kick. But, anybody would have signed up if you say, oh, you're going to hold them to 7 points or 10 points in the first half. I thought we did improve. It's just when things didn't go well, we kind of lost our way for a little bit, and that we were unable to then, again, as I mentioned, capitalize in some of our scoring situations. But that's where we find ourselves, and so we just got to keep moving forward because we've shown we can do it. We need to do it consistently. I've been talking about that. But now you're certainly going even up another notch in competition. So our improvement, we're going to really have to improve to be able to be effective.
There's no secret Oregon has a robust NIL budget program. I guess two-part. How wide is the gap between Oregon and Rutgers, and how confident are you that Keli Zinn and her administration are going to be able to close that gap in the coming years?
Yeah, how wide the gap is really doesn't matter. That's where we find ourselves today, right? So I've never believed in that. There's people like to talk about these gaps, and there are, but that's not new. Like, I've been doing this 37 years. There's always been haves and have-nots, right? I think the gaps are actually going to start to close a little bit, which is good. I think Kelly and President Tate fully understand what is necessary, and we're moving in the right direction. Again, would everybody like it to be faster? Sure. But I also know that when you're at a program, you have to understand who you are and how you can be effective at that program. When you try to be someone else or do it some other way, I don't believe that's effective. And I think that's exactly what we're doing right now, and I'm very excited about it.
Obviously, it's a big national story out of State College with James Franklin. Were you surprised by that news? And what does it say about the broader state of college football where a $50 million buyout is being paid off for?
Yeah, all good questions. You know, I have a lot of respect for James, but I'm not going to get into all. I have so much on my own plate with Oregon, and that's really what today is about. But certainly a valid point, Steve.
The offense ranks in the bottom half in the country in terms of red zone touchdown rate, despite the efficiency and the other parts of the field. What have you seen to cause that issue, and how can you remedy that against a very athletic defense this weekend?
If it was one thing, I think, we had some opportunities literally where guys wide open and the ball gets batted down. Right now, you can't say, well, it got batted down. I mean, that's what happened, and we didn't score. But some of those situations, twice that happened, that are frustrating. But you have to use that as fuel to figure out, okay, how are we going to get? Maybe it's a different protection scheme. Maybe it's a different technique we teach them to get the hands down. To me, you just keep looking at it, and you don't allow yourself to throw your hands up in frustration, because that's when people start. All right, be a problem solver. How are we going to help these guys? Equip and inspire. That's, to me, what my coaching philosophy has always been, and that's what we will do with this group. And we're gonna get the red zone figured out quickly, because we have a good offense. We do. We have a very good offense, and we got to turn those drives into touchdowns, and we will.
We spoke with Keli Zinn this morning about NIL, and one of the things she said was investment in NIL doesn't necessarily equate to a better roster, but it can sure help. How important is NIL for bridging that competitive gap between just being a competitive team to being a team that consistently is beating and winning against peer programs?
Well, in the last 5 years, that's been a new element to college football. But I think if you look at it like any other business, you tell me, how is it in your business? You know, if one publication can pay $5 for their writer and another can pay $20 for a writer, right? Usually the guy who's paying 20 is going to get the more established or veteran writer, or the better writer, if you want to say that. I don't know. I think it's no different than any business, but it's a new business, right? I mean, this thing has really only started. But as I mentioned, I think it was on Brian's question, I don't think that the differentiation hasn't existed before. It's been that way for a long time. I think what's happened is there's now a mechanism to close that gap, and just how focused are we on doing that? I really feel very focused now, and I'm excited about it.
Coach, running back room looks a little bit different with some of the injuries than it did in the start of the season. Antoine Raymond getting a majority of the carries. Do you see a bigger role for Ja'Shawn Benjamin going forward, or do you think it's going to be a lot more of Antoine Raymond as the number one back?
Well, we lost CJ. That's really the only thing that changed in that room, right? Where Sam is working back from an injury, and I think Sam, when he feels good, is going to be able to contribute. But I do think it is a little bit of a tricky recovery, a tricky return to play. But he's doing everything he's asked to do, and it's just sometimes you have to be a little bit more patient. I think Ja'Shawn Benjamin's been a big part of our plan all along. He really played well on Friday night. I thought he did a good job of what we asked him. Does that usually amount to getting asked to do a little more? Yeah. When you do well at the things you're asked, then your plate gets a little more full. I do think that Antoine's playing well, so we're going to keep pumping him the ball as much as we can. But we like to run the ball, we like to play action pass, so I think it all fits into what we're doing.
Kind of along those lines, actually. I mean, what has impressed you about the way Antoine has performed week to week, especially because it seems like his skill set just continues to evolve and improve every single week? I guess, what has stood out on your end?
Well, first, I think it starts with their coach. I think Coach Shaw does a great job with the running backs. I think he did a great job developing in the past, with Kyle, and now I think he's doing a great job with that room. And I think one of the things that's critical, running back is such a tough position because there's only one ball, and they all want to touch it, right? What they have in that room is special. They really care about each other. There's a great love and camaraderie in that room. So they really support each other. And that's cool to watch. And I think Antoine is really benefited first by having a year with Kyle. right? Kyle, I think, taught that whole room how to prepare like a pro. And that room operates at a high level. It was a shame to lose CJ because CJ really, I thought, would help us. He had a different running style than the other two guys. But that happens, right? I mean, all these things happen in college football and in pro football. You just got to – you don't have time to sit there and lament about, oh, what could have been. You got to move on. You got to move to the next step. Just like watch that tape all the way home, get some sleep, and then get back on it, right? Get back on. We got Oregon coming to town. We got a great opportunity. And that's life in the Big Ten. That's why I love the Big Ten. Every week is a big game, and this one's no different.
Greg, you said Friday, you said in the past that this program is close and you guys are getting there. Just what is there? When you say we're getting there, where are you looking to take this program?
Well, look, I'm not going to get into, in the middle of the season, a perspective. But we came back. This is our 6th season back. And I think you, and as well as anybody, because you were covering the team, we've made great strides. Where is there? There is playing at championship level, right? And we're not playing at a championship. Are we playing at a competitive level? Absolutely. But we're not playing at a championship level because at a championship level, you find how to win those games. We've had 3 games that I thought we had every opportunity in the world to win, and we didn't, right? But we're in those games. They're competitive games. We've won some of them in the last 2 years. We've lost some of them. This year, we haven't won any of them yet. So is it frustrating? Absolutely, it's frustrating. But there is no there, right? The journey is the destination. There is no there. But winning more of those games than you lose is on the way to being there, right? And then winning them all is there, I guess. But, that only lasts for that year. So we are getting closer. And there's a lot of things that go into getting it over the hump. Some of it is coaching. Some of it is playing. Some of it is off-season. Some of it is talent acquisition. Right? There's all that. But in the middle of the year, all you focus on is, okay, who's healthy? These are the players we have. These are the players we have to go against and the scheme we have to go against. What's the best way to deploy them to give them the best chance to win the game? Sometimes you do it right. Sometimes you don't. You have to do it with your experiences and say, this is what we think is best. I think as a coach, once you do that, that's equipping them, and then you have to inspire them. And I think this team is a very inspired team. I thought we played our most violent game of the year out there on Friday night. I thought our guys flew around. It was a violent, violent game. And that's what this is in the Big Ten. And we just need to keep building on that, do a better job getting them in better positions, and let them play free. Let them go see what they can do. And that's what we're going to do Saturday night.
I think some fans might see another NIL launch and say, well, we've done that. We've tried that. I guess if you were speaking to them directly, what about this?
We've tried that. Where have we tried that?
Well, there's been certainly Knights of the Raritan. There's been other programs.
Halt. No, we haven't tried it. Let's be real now. We have not tried it. I'm not going to get into what we do have and what we have not tried. All due respect to everybody who put forth their effort, we have not tried it. Not at a Division I level. Forget Big Ten level. We have not done it at the Division I. Let's be clear on that. The only people who have done it is the guy you're standing there looking at, and that you can't do it that way at this level. Now we have a plan. So leave it at that. I'm not going to get into specifics, but that is so. There has been no efforts of the level that it takes to play in the Big Ten. I'm not saying that people haven't tried. What it takes to win in the Big Ten, you can't even say it's minusculely close. And that's it. That's the end of the conversation. There's not going to be a follow-up. That's it. Will that determine the future? Yes. Will it determine Saturday? No. No, that won't determine Saturday. Will it help the future? Absolutely. Right now, all I'm concerned about, Oregon Saturday night. Now, our players, they've been awesome. They're busting their humps. We got a bunch of guys that have been injured. Some are coming back, some are out for the season. I love our team. I love our staff. We need to keep moving forward. We cannot get caught up into that vicious game that everybody wants to talk about, what you have, what you don't have. What we have is we have Oregon Saturday night, 6:30. Can't wait to do it. Appreciate you guys.
So that was Greg Schiano today. Clearly, the last question was one that he took umbrage to, and he expressed that. And that's the clip that we're all seeing all over social media right now. But I think that kind of a lot of people wanted to talk NIL because they spoke with Keli Zinn this morning, and it dovetailed nicely into Greg Schiano. And did you guys think that was a fair response by Greg with regard to having never really done like an honest NIL initiative at Rutgers? I'll let you take the first one, Alec.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, John Newman from Knights of the Raritan, agreed with it, that there wasn't really a direction. I didn't see it as like a shot at, him or Knights of the Raritan. I saw it as just a collective, a collective department. There's just nothing, there wasn't really a plan in place. And now that the leadership in effect has that plan in place, the whole department should be better off for it. And I mean, we've talked a lot about it here. Richie's reported. We've all talked about it a lot. The amount of efforts that that Schiano had done over the past few years to try to get NIL fundraising and things like that kind of backed himself up right there. So yeah, I think it was fair. And I think being asked like three or four different questions about NIL, I think he ultimately was just like, all right, I gotta just chop the head off this thing. Let's just go all out, all to the wall. Just end this once and for all here. And he certainly did that. But yeah, no, I don't think he was wrong. And I didn't see it as a shot at John Newman or Knights of the Raritan or any of the great people that worked at Knights of the Raritan to do what they could with NIL. So I think it was just his one definitive statement that the path is there now, the plan is in place, and the leadership is in place. Just so he doesn't get continually asked about it, because I'm sure he got tired of it. But they were valid questions considering, the new NIL initiative that has just kicked off, all the questions about like the new NIL system, rev share system. So he just wanted to get it all out there, and he certainly did that.
How about you, Richie?
Yeah, it's not a shot at anyone that says it's a shot at like the Knights of Raritan. It's not like at all. Like, and like you just said, Alec, like John Newman's already mentioned multiple times on social media, he agrees with it. And this isn't even what I'm about to say is not a shot at them, but like they weren't able to raise money. Like they were doing the work of what an athletic department should be doing for pennies, if anything, to be honest with you. Like it was insane that like Pat Hobbs, and he was great with us on the pod, but he wasn't doing anything in terms of NIL. He was scared to do everything. Thought they were going to get sued basically all the time because they thought this thing was just going to die down and Pandora's box was just going to close. And it hasn't. It's the complete opposite. Once it's open, that's it. That Greg had to do a lot of it its own. I saw it firsthand, and he was able to do a lot of it its own because I was at one of those donor dinners. Like I ended up getting an invite from a family member of mine, and you see it firsthand, like all the work he's put in and all this and everything. And like him saying, it's just like they haven't, he said it word for word. We haven't done it at a D1 level. Like that's just, it's not saying, hey, we haven't done it at a G5 level. Hey, we haven't done it at a Power 4 level. Haven't done it at a Division 1 level. Like there's lower level schools that were still able to like raise significant amounts of money. So it is interesting to see. I think if anything, if you really want to say he was attacking someone, he was attacking the former athletic director and basically any people that were in charge of that. It was just,
he's not the first to do that over the last couple of weeks. I will say that.
No, but not just that. And maybe the rest of the athletic department in general too is kind of giving them like, hey, like these guys didn't raise anything either. I was the only guy actually out here raising funds. And you could kind of say that goes back to basketball. Like that's, they weren't raising any money either. Like there's just so many opportunities to get money from people. And I'm not saying they're going to raise like difference maker amounts, but just to get money to raise amounts to get a team together basically. And he was doing it all. So, I mean, a shout out to him because he literally did everything under the sun that an AD was supposed to do. And he just was running a football program in the meantime too.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's not what the people want to, the things that people want to hear right now, considering the lack of success in Big Ten play so far this year. But I mean, looking back the last few years, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a great question you asked regarding the team. Now that we've kind of addressed the elephant in the room of Schiano's question there, but if you look at how Rutgers has done in the red zone this year, they've only scored on 79.4% of the red zone trips. They've only scored a touchdown on 61.8% of their red zone trips. And if you just isolate the Big Ten games, it's pretty stark, or it's pretty rough. So in terms of just Big Ten games, Rutgers has only scored points within the 20-yard line on 64.7% of their red zone trips. They've only scored touchdowns on 53% of their red zone trips. That 64% number is 105th in the nation. That overall scoring number is 99th in the nation. It's been bad. It's been really bad. And, we got some pushback about how the offense, how can you blame the offense for losing the game? Like, you see the defense, we let up a record number of points. Guys, we knew that the defense is bad. We knew coming into the season how we were going to have to win games. We were going to have to score and win these track meets. And the only way to keep up is to continue to score. And we're not doing that right now. We've had a few nice long touchdowns. You saw the Antoine Raymond one. But when these teams who are playing us in these soft zones get down into the red zone, that condenses everything. And then these throwing lanes that are normally pretty wide open on these out routes or on these slants are no longer there. We don't really have a counter, and we've gotten really stodgy, and things just aren't working. And I thought David Anderson and Aaron Brightman did a good job talking about this morning, where, last year we had a guy in Kyle Monungai who could just make dudes miss in a phone booth left and right. And Antoine Raymond isn't really that guy. Like, he does have the ability, he has some wiggle, he makes guys miss, but he's more of just kind of a bruiser. And a guy like CJ Campbell might have been a guy who had that kind of ability, but we didn't really get to see a ton out of him this year. So, Alec, I just want to shout out, I thought that was a great question. And Greg didn't really give like a ABC answer. He did say, like, if you look at, it's a lot of different things. You look at a couple from this past game, we had balls batted at the line where you had guys open and blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, I think, like, we just don't have like go-to plays in tight areas where we can, get an easy 5 yards. And I thought that Kyle Monungai was a bit of a cure-all last year with those kind of, 3rd and 3s. We could reliably give it to Kyle and get a first down. But
I thought I actually, from our post-game show on Friday night, I think it was Connor who hopped on with us. I think that was one of the guests that we had on who mentioned one thing that they ran a lot when in 2023 when they had Christian Dremel in the slot, that little kind of pick play that they had where you have Dremel in the slot, whether he's in motion or what, he just kind of runs out into the flat. There's a receiver going on a slant or an in-breaking route. We kind of saw that with the first 4th down they went for and didn't get. They got batted down at the line of scrimmage. So I'm wondering if we see some more of that, where in terms of instead of just like the standard pass plays, you should go for like a pick play, something like that. Just like easy throws, things like that are created. You can make space. And I thought it was interesting. We saw a little bit more of checking it down, a lot more of Antoine Raymond, some more tight ends in the passing game. So just kind of opening up the options to see. That's what I thought was interesting.
I've never seen so many balls batted down in my entire life. Like, there was like 4 or 5 on Friday.
Yeah,
there was a lot.
It's funny how we were facing a quarterback who was like 5'10", and we didn't get a single ball batted down on our end. They threw the ball all over the yard, and I think there was one pass breakup that we had in the end zone on, it was a nice play. I forget if it was Jacoby Henderson or Bo Mascow, but yeah, we're not really getting our hands on the ball at the defensive line as a corner at the, the secondary level. A lot of things we could talk about with the defense, and I do want to get into that, but fuck it. Let's just get into it now. So there was a post that somebody made on the board asking like why fans are upset with how things have gone this season. And I think that it's kind of like a bad faith argument. Like, Schiano has talked about, or maybe not Schiano directly, but I think we could all agree that talent-wise, this team is up there with maybe not the 1.0 era best teams, but this is the most talented team that Greg Schiano has ever had in the 2.0 era. I don't think there's any argument there. I don't think that this is the most talented coaching staff that they've ever had. I think that was probably 2023 when you look at, we had Corey Heatherman, we had Joe Harris-Simiak, we had Kirk Sirocco, we had Dave Brock. I think that was the first year that Pat Flaherty was on as a consultant. Like we had Demir Shaw, running backs. Like there was guys all over that staff that were high level coaches. Drew Lascari is now an NFL positional coach. Like we had guys all over that staff. And the thing I keep coming back to is, what is Greg Schiano's mantra for this program? CHOP. What does CHOP mean? He's explained it a bunch of times. CHOP is about being in the moment and focusing on your job. Yeah, Mark Orfe, who is now, I believe, at Texas. Right?
Yeah. Like Flaherty's actual first year. John Perry was there. Marquise Watson. I think he was there for original. Yeah, he was there. He was the defensive line coach. So Marquise Watson
he suffered his medical emergency he was dealing with. It was like right before the Northwestern game to open the year.
Yeah, you might be right.
Okay.
Still,
I hope he's doing better.
But back to CHOP. Like CHOP is about being in the moment, focusing on your job, not worrying about what other people are doing, just focusing in. And that requires a lot of discipline. I think we could say across the board that like the CHOP mantra is not permeating through this group, especially on defense. So many instances of poor eye discipline, guys not being in the right run gap, guys not picking up the correct assignment when it comes to covering guys in the secondary. So like that to me is like our defense and special teams together are just terribly disciplined. And I just don't know how it's this bad. Like, is Schiano just stretched so thin, as you kind of allude to? Like, he's the guy who's been having to raise all these funds for NIL, that he's not able to kind of imprint himself in those areas where he needs to, like he has in the past? Like, did he have a guy in Joe Harris-Simiak who he could, like, trust implicitly to just handle that stuff on defense? Because something I keep coming back to, in August, he did an interview with the CW, I think, where they got to come and like, you know, have some one-on-one time. And when they asked about the defense, unprompted, Greg Schiano talked about, you know, they got a bunch of good coaches, but we really miss Joe out there. Like nobody asked about Joe Harris-Simiak. Greg Schiano is like somebody who, remember when Mo Toure left and somebody asked like, you know, what's this mean for the team? And he's like, well, obviously he's a great player, but we're focusing on the guys that we have here now and we wish him the best and blah, blah, blah. Like he instantly was like, he is no longer here. We're not talking about Mo Toure no more. He's a great guy. We love him, but he's not with us anymore. So it's not relevant. And for him to bring up Harris-Simiak unprompted kind of stood out to me, I guess. And so either to me, he's spread too thin, or his messaging, his edge connecting to players is no longer there. And I don't think it's that. I think he doesn't have the ability to kind of like do as many things and make sure that these things are being communicated properly because he's stretched too thin. That's my read on it. What's your guys' read on why the CHOP mantra is not permeating through this group?
I think it kind of has to do with transfer portal too, because like,
Sure.
these guys aren't guys that are in your program for 4 to 5 years now. Like they're in your program for maybe a year, two if you're lucky enough. Like, and it goes back to what he said about Jacoby Henderson. This was either after game one or during preseason, and you remember this because you quoted it a couple times. He was like, "Oh yeah, Jacoby's one of those guys that's always in the room, always studying, always this." And I wish we had more guys like that. And it's like,
That's a
okay,
great point.
I could see you don't have those guys and I wonder if it's because they're portal guys and they're just like, fuck it, I have 1 year left. I'm going to do my own thing. I do this right. I'm in my own head. I know what I'm doing. When in reality, it's like you should probably listen to the coaching staff because they're getting paid a shit ton of money to tell you what to do, and teach you what to do. But I wonder if it's more of the fact that it's portal guys and then it's harder to build a culture now too on top of it. I don't know if that's like a big factor or not, but I feel like it has to play a part at the very least.
Yeah, no, I think it's this weird asymmetry because you hear Greg Schiano constantly talking about how we're a developmental program, but if you look, especially on defense, how many homegrown guys that they've brought through the system are major contributors on this defense? We don't have to go through it like one by one through the entire two deep, but
not a lot.
There's not a lot of guys who we recruited, we redshirted, we developed, and are now starters who are reliable players. There's just not many. You got Daryl Jabome, you got Bo Mascow. Kaj Sanders has struggled a lot this year. He's the guy you can fit into that category, though.
Abram Wright, do you count him technically?
Abram Wright, he's coming back off an injury, but he counts. You got Jordan Walker. And then you got a bunch of guys who, like, didn't really – Jordan Thompson. There's a bunch of guys who, like somebody like Zaire Angoy and Keshawn Griffin. They've been great program guys, but they haven't really – like, they're playing this year out of necessity. Like, usually you don't have a guy who, as a fifth-year senior, becomes, like, in his first serious amount of playing time, a, like, anchor piece of your defense. Like, it just typically doesn't happen. So I think it's a two-part problem. We're not like either we're targeting the wrong guys in recruiting, we're not developing them well when they get here. And I realize some of that's out of everyone's control. You look at a few of the guys who have had to medically retire, but that's kind of neither here nor there. But or you're also like Greg Schiano talks so much about having the right fit guys come into the program too. So if you're taking guys in the portal who you're being very selective about making sure they're a good fit, and if they're not a good fit, that means it's still on you because you misevaluated those guys you were bringing into the portal, from the portal rather. So I just think NIL does play a factor in this, but it's not the reason why our scheme is not working on defense. Like, you could, sure. I mean, if you look around the country, there's plenty of examples where a team has a war chest in terms of NIL. They build this super team. Look at Florida State a few years ago, and they're ass. They can't, chew gum and walk at the same time. And then there's other examples of teams who maybe have middle of the pack NIL, but they have great coaching and they're able to kind of get more out of the unit than maybe they should. So my point is, all these things play a factor. And if you don't recruit to the level that or if you don't develop guys to the level that you need to, and you don't have NIL at the level you need to, and you bring in coaches who are not at the same level as the coaches they're replacing, all those things kind of can cascade into where we find ourselves right now. I think it's too hard to look at all these factors and say it's this or it's this or it's this. It can't just be like things in life are rarely just one reason. There's a lot of grays here, but I think all those grays are leading to a color that is indicating kind of the red light situation we find ourselves in.
Well, you saw the thread on our boards, and Alec, you've seen it too. It was like ranking the 2021 to 2024 class, and I went through it on my own, and I just put up my own like hit or miss targets, and I'm like, yeah, there's 5 in 21, there's 6 in 22, there's 5 in 23. Like these are 25, 30 person classes, and they're hitting on 5 kids, and then the ones that they do hit on are transferring out.
and the accepted rough range of the hit rate you need to have for high school recruiting is like 40%. Yeah. Like a bunch of kids are like half the kids are going to transfer out, but 40% of those guys need to be contributors in order for you to have a successful program. And we're not there. We're just flat out not there.
And their best class was 2020. And who was all those top recruits coming from? Fran Brown.
That 2020 class helped prop this program up for 3 to 4 years. Like if you go through and player by player, look at who we got in 2020, it is littered with NFL players. It is littered with program stalwarts. It's littered with captains. Like that class that they put together in 3 weeks is incredible.
Yeah, and half of them were going to Temple at one point.
Yeah. So Brian Felter, captain, or maybe he's not a captain, but 6-year player, starter, multi-year starter. Max Melton in the NFL. Tyreen Powell, before his injury, was one of the best linebackers in a long time at Rutgers. Renee Conga was a hit. It's unfortunate that he left, but he's a really good player. Wesley Bailey was a really good player before he got hurt.
We're not talking about Evan Simon.
Evan Simon's a starting quarterback elsewhere. Robert Longerbeam, NFL player.
Isaiah Wright starts for Maryland now at offensive line. Yeah, there's really not a ton. Oh, Kyle Monangai.
Kyle Monangai speaks for himself.
Kamar Missouri starts elsewhere. Tunde Fadakasi starts elsewhere. Like, I know they're not great. Brendan White had a little stint in the league. Maya Hanatu was pretty damn good. Wumford was pretty good. Noah Vedral was your quarterback for multiple years. Either way,
so yeah,
it's like
that and the 21 class were just anchors for our team. And then we just had three or four classes in a row that really didn't bring in the number of contributors we needed. So that's kind of like a few of the things that I have kind of found, and like my overarching reason why people are pissed off. And realistically, they have tons of reason to, but our offense hasn't taken the next step like we thought it would. If you just look at like the points we're scoring based on like the number of yards we're putting up, like red zone efficiency has fallen off a cliff since last year. Last year, I think we were at like 84% in the red zone and like something like 67% touchdown rate. Our defense is worse than last year despite having better players in terms of recruiting talent. I don't think there's any denial there. I think we're 2-8 in our last 10 Big Ten home games. Like people just show up and don't really have a whole lot of they don't have a whole lot of hope that we're going to actually win these games. And you just see it in like how the crowd, like the Iowa game, we were as much pomp and circumstance that was surrounding that game with all the fireworks and people actually getting in early to see the light show. Like that was the most full I think I've seen a Rutgers crowd in a long time at kickoff. But then the crowd was tense the entire game because we kind of just haven't had that moment where we can then put faith in the team where we're like, oh, okay, we've got this because we've done it before. Like there hasn't been that moment in a long time. Maybe you could talk about the Washington game, but that's really it. And we're just tired of seeing the same mistakes being made week after week and the same things being repeated by Schiano in each press conference. Like he keeps talking about these issues we're having and there's not the fixes. So like, is the coaching poor? The players just not get it? Are the players just not capable of doing the things that the coaching staff's asking them to do? And I don't think it's too much to ask to be 6-6 in this conference each year. Like we have a very soft out of conference schedule typically, and that's the way that Schiano wants it. We're going to play 2 G5 teams in an FCS. Schiano does really good in the non-conference, and we're starting the season where we only have to go 3-6, and we're not. Most years we're not showing the ability to do that. And at this point, it's year 6. Like we need to see some more from this program, in my opinion. And I think all those things combined to show why there's just a general level of unhappiness and apathy with the fan base right now that until we start to have those moments, I don't see how it's going to get any better. Like if things don't go well on Saturday, by halftime, if Rutgers is down multiple scores, that place is going to be a ghost town in the second half. I'm just letting you know, like that's just the way it's going to be. And I don't want to hear anybody upset about it. Like when the fans have something to show for their hard-earned time and money, they'll stick around. But if they're not going to sit through a blowout, get stuck in traffic, deal with whatever finds them at the end of the game, I don't blame them if they wanted to leave after, being down almost 20 points at half. Anyway,
not just the second half. It'll be a ghost town the second half of the season. I know there's only a couple games left after that, but like, who's going to want to go watch a Penn State that's 5-7 against Rutgers, who's 4 and whatever?
Well, I would love to see that. Actually,
well, okay,
that's the one game I think will be very.
Fine, Maryland.
Maryland will be weird,
cold, windy, probably. Like, no one wants to go outside and go watch Maryland versus Rutgers, unless Maryland's good too. Who knows?
Yeah, the weather's supposed to be beautiful though for Saturday. It's homecoming. I think there'll be a really nice crowd, but. Man, I just don't see a path of being competitive against this Oregon team, especially if they're coming in and they're focused. If they have a bit of a hangover from last week against Indiana, maybe that's our way of getting in. But we thought, I don't know, we've been in that situation before. But you mentioned Penn State. I think that's a good segue. James Franklin was fired this weekend after losing his 3rd straight game. They lost 22-21 in the homecoming game against Northwestern. And, I don't want to pat myself on the back for this one, but I have been talking about this Penn State season falling apart for a bit now, and I didn't quite see it falling apart this spectacularly. But this game will be basically meaningless for them in terms of their expectations on the season. If Rutgers does not beat this year's Penn State team, like when are we ever going to beat them? Seriously.
Never.
Like, they've lost their starting quarterback. They've lost their head coach. Every once in a while you see this UCLA type resurgence when a backup or when a coach is replaced mid-season. But UCLA was playing like they went in with low expectations and they're playing with house money. Penn State went in with national championship expectations, and now they have to find a way to fight for pride. It's way different, in my opinion, from a mentality standpoint. So if Rutgers can't find a way to beat Penn State this year, like that would be the cure-all for a bad season. Like if Rutgers goes 4-8, but their only additional win this year is Penn State, that's something you can sell. That's something that fans can get excited about.
Now we can agree on this, right? Because this was in Discord, and we were all talking with Fonseca about it before. The people are saying they would storm the field if they beat Penn State. You can't do that, right? Like
that would be the most
be...
Mickey Mouse bullshit that I've ever seen.
Okay, I just want to clarify we're on the same side.
If we go 4-8 and Penn State is 5-7 coming in, or I'm just throwing out numbers, and if we beat them and we storm the field, that would be so embarrassing. That would be every aggregating account that discusses college football will be making fun of Rutgers relentlessly. So I beg the fan base, we're looking, we're not doing our job chopping here, but if we're looking way out in the future and that's the scenario that plays out, do not storm the field. Please do not storm the field.
Now, if they somehow run the table, which includes, might I remind all of you, wins at Iowa, at Ohio State versus Indiana, who's in the top 3, by the way. Michigan State, a currently ranked Nebraska team going into Rutgers. They're back in the top. They probably won't be top 10, but they're in the top 15. I mean, I'm still not saying it's a very good idea, but it'll probably happen.
Yeah, if you beat a ranked Penn State team, you storm the field. I don't mind that, but they're not going to be ranked, and they're not going to be 8-3 coming in.
Right. Yeah.
Boy, Ethan Grunkemeyer.
Yeah, redshirt freshman, his first play after Aller got hurt. He got crunched trying to scramble in a 4th down. Felt bad for him. Got popped.
Yeah, we're getting to test my theory of his negative swag name. He can't be successful. He can't. Who's going to draft Ethan Grunkemeyer in the first round to lead their NFL
Roger
franchise?
Roger Goodell saying that name.
Who's even going to draft Drew Aller at this point?
I mean, he's not. I feel bad for him, but
what a fall from grace.
He would have been probably a first-round pick last year if he entered the draft, and now he's lucky to get drafted at all, to be totally honest with you.
Should have left. He would have went, he's no Jackson Dart, but...
Nobody is.
Had to throw that one out there. It's low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo are going to be the first players who get CTE by the time they're 25 from the way they play.
I saw that. Someone's like, they're not going to remember their kids by the time they're 30. I was like, Jesus. Yeah.
God.
Did you see the highlights, though, of Scadaboo at Arizona State? They're walking up the tunnel.
He's bashing his helmet into a wall. Yeah.
Boom. But it's what are you doing, dude?
Yeah, he's people not made fun of, but people joked about Isaiah Pacheco, all those memes about, he runs like he bites people and all those things like that. That Cam Scadaboo deserves all this way more. That kid was clearly unmedicated as a child. He the little the thing that they did after the game where they headbutted each other like pit bulls. That was hilarious. Yeah. But
he's a crayon.
The one play that stood out to me was Jackson Dart on that scramble. It was 3rd and 6 or something like that, and he's along the sideline. And he could have just walked out of bounds, but instead he threw himself like Ralph Wiggum out the window and just was inviting a concussion. The guy's crazy.
Between that, the ref high five, it's woo. Just it's all I hate using the word aura because I think it's corny, but they have I'll use swag. They have so much swag to them.
You guys needed something to just you needed positive vibes in the facility. They clearly brought that. You guys have something to be excited about, and I'm happy for you. It's been too long where you guys have just kind of had nothing positive to talk about with your football team. Yeah, exactly. That was Jackson Dart on 3rd down.
Anyway, back to Penn State sucking. Yeah, they lost a bunch of commits, but not really technically because they all posted the same message.
It was four or five of them posting the same statement where I am remaining committed to Penn State, but my recruitment is also 100% open, which means you're not committed to Penn State, in my opinion.
It's weird.
Yeah, and Richie, another uniquely qualified thing here. Rutgers recruited a bunch of those 26s and 27s that were committed to Penn State, and I guess technically still are. Do you see a path for Rutgers to maybe poach any of the recruits that Penn State is kind of losing, but kind of not at the moment?
I posted an article yesterday, day before, about like 4 recruits that they could look into. I'd look more towards future recruits than 26. I think 26 they're probably kind of screwed on a little bit, just because like some of the names, like Tavian Branch already decommitted from Rutgers. Like, would Rutgers probably take him back? I would think so in a heartbeat. He's a defensive tackle, and they don't grow on trees.
Yep.
I'm sure they'll reach out, and he's one of those ones that's like, what did he say? It's like, I'm still committed, but my recruitment's open, something like that. So they'll probably reach out. I'm sure Oklahoma, who's also in his top 3, is going to reach out. They're going to have a bunch of different suitors.
He also just got an offer from Nebraska earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, well, it's a weird one. Start
I was
building a
wondering
relationship
about
before
that.
roll
Yeah.
goes over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do think if they get the right coach, he's going to keep a lot of these dudes. A lot of Pennsylvania guys and like Northeast guys, they see Penn State as their dream school, unfortunately, and that's just how it goes. They're going to go. There's a lot of kids that actually came out and said, like, I don't care who's the coach. I'm committed to Penn State. I love this place. Okay, sure. But I think 27 is where you really got to start looking. And the name I keep going back to is Delaware native Leighton Von Brandt. He's a kid that Rutgers was very heavily interested in before he committed to Penn State this past November. Out of all the schools he's visited, he's went to Penn State about like 10 times. He's went to Rutgers the second most at like 4 or 5. And he was really like interested in Rutgers. Demir Shaw is the lead recruiter there. Delaware, local kid. He's went from like an unranked prospect, I think, when he committed, to now number 28 in the nation per Rivals. Like, he's a very talented offensive tackle. Me and Alec actually got to see him in person at the Under Armour camp, and he's always spoke very highly about Rutgers. So I would say they kind of have an early-ish inside track, but he's going to get a ton of offers too. So those 27 kids is what I'd really keep a close eye on. But again, this could all be solved really quickly if they get a hire in place like in the next month or 2.
So I wanted to talk about that because early hot boards have come out. You've reported that it sounds like Matt Rule is the leader at this moment, which it's so baffling to me that they wanted to get rid of James Franklin for a while now, because like even the AD Kraft said that, like, we're not relieving Franklin of his duties just because of these 3 games. So it's clearly like, okay, we've thought about this for longer than just this season, because he couldn't win the big game, right? You always see those stats about Franklin, against top 10, top 25 opponents. Matt Rule's lost 17 straight games against ranked opponents. Like, what are we doing here? Like, are you really just going to act like because he's a Penn Stater and because he grew up in State College and because he's close with Kraft that he's going to have any ability to do better than James Franklin did? Like, this feels like they're trading in, an 8.5 out of 10 in James Franklin for a 7 out of 10 in Matt Rule. Like, am I crazy? Like, how is this their leader in the clubhouse right now? I explain to me.
I don't get it either, but I really think it's the Joe Pa thing. Like, people love Joe Pa. He was there with Joe Pa. He played for Joe Pa. He coached for Joe Pa. It's like they see him as a mini Joe Paterno, when in reality he's the offensive version of Greg Schiano.
I would argue he's got equal or maybe even better resources at Nebraska, and they're good. Don't get me wrong; they're ranked in this week's top 25. It's at least comparable, I would say. They're ranked in this week's top 25, but it seems like they haven't really taken that leap that many, including myself, expected in terms of a year 3 Matt Rule.
He's a Northeast guy. He's a Penn State guy. Like, he loves everything about it. Like, I find it weird that people are saying, like, why would Matt Rule want to leave? And I get it. He has all the resources already, but he's born and raised in Penn State, like, basically. He would walk to Penn State if he could, like right now, just to take the job. Why they want him, I don't know. I think it's weird, but the guy's track record, he hasn't won a ranked game, you just said, like, since Temple. I think that's crazy to say. And I know he had a little gap where he went in the league and all, but it's still really bad.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't know. It's the Penn State connection. They like.
Wait, he didn't win a ranked game at all when he was at Baylor?
Oh, you're right. I forgot about Baylor. But on that graphic, it said Temple in 20 or 2000, whatever it was.
That's surprising.
You got to remember when he got hired at Baylor, that was right after the Broyles or the Bryles, scandal. So
Yes,
they were
right.
Pretty down, and he brought them back to respectability. So
Now, stop me if you heard this before, but he's a really good program builder, correct?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's good at that. But can he get you?
He's a floor raiser.
Yeah, there you go.
Actually, I think you might be right. I'm looking at their schedules, and didn't beat a ranked team at Baylor at all.
It's crazy.
And he hasn't beaten one at Nebraska, so he's gone 2 straight coaching stints without beating a ranked team. I don't know. Let him make the mistake, because I think that would be a colossal L that they would take. And it sounds like some other Big Ten brethren might be making a coaching change soon as well. Luke Fickell lost 37-0 against Iowa this weekend at home. He's already on the hot seat. That thing is white hot now. They spent their entire offseason talking about how they got beat 42-10 this previous season against Iowa. They did, anytime they would make a mistake, they'd have to drop down and do 42 push-ups as a way to remind them about this game. And then they just get absolutely dog-walked at home, 37-0. And then Jonathan Smith, he lost to UCLA, and it sounds like the Michigan State faithful are not very happy with him either. The Oregon State job, which is his alma mater and where he came over from, is reopened as well. So there's some dot connecting there. Maybe they choose to kind of mutually part ways, but
maybe like a parachute type job that we see in basketball sometimes.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, real quick before, because I want to say it before on the pod, because I said it off the pod, but if Matt Rule does get hired, we got to keep a close eye on Demir Shaw. You got to lock and hide him in a closet or something. Just don't let him out until they hire a running backs coach. Yeah, hey, we got to see that real quick.
Pull a DeAndre Jordan and just barricade your door with a chair to keep Mark Cuban away from your house to sign him to a contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Demir Shaw played for Matt Rule at Temple. He coached with Matt Rule at Temple. He coached with Matt Rule at Baylor. He coached with Matt Rule with the Carolina Panthers. He came over to Rutgers after that Panthers stint, and he's been there ever since, but very close with Matt Rule. So,
yeah. And it's
kind of a surprise that he hasn't gone to Nebraska, honestly, given those connections.
Yeah. I think it's because he's comfortable with his area where he's at in the Northeast. Richie, like you were just saying, he's been the top recruiter for a lot of these kids that they get out of, whether it's Delaware, Pennsylvania, Eastern Pennsylvania, a lot of those highly rated kids that they get. He's been the lead recruiter for a lot of them. So that would be not a great person to lose in terms of recruiting momentum for the program.
Definitely. So we've kind of hit a grab bag of topics today. Is there anything we didn't touch on that you guys wanted to discuss before we head out?
I can't get it. Damn. Basketball. That's what I was trying to do. I shouldn't have grabbed the sign one, but I did. Anyway, pretty cool. Rutgers Basketball, Towson scrimmage yesterday. They won by, I heard 7 to 9 points, somewhere in that range. It wasn't a whole exact thing. It's not like a full-blown game what they do. They basically break it up into quarters and kind of go from there. Offense struggled mightily, it sounds like. Towson's a decent team, as Alec, you told me off the pod. You think that they're not the front runner, but they'll be competitive for that CAA title. I think they're 143 in KenPom preseason. So
yeah, they're a solid mid-major team. Now it's still not a great look that Rutgers is struggling against them, but it's not Mississippi Valley State they're going up against. But yeah, still not great to hear that the offense struggled. Again, kind of justifying what we've been saying for since the beginning of the practices and all that.
Yeah, the minute he said Tariq Francis is a good shooter on Big Ten Media Days, you lost me completely. But we'll see if they have one more scrimmage. I forget who it was against. I'll post it on the board as soon as I find out more. And
but it's not LaSalle.
It's not LaSalle.
Yeah,
no,
that was fake. Yes, that was fake.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I think Jaden Daly actually came out and said he's like, I messed up. I saw the LaSalle tweet.
Yes, that was wrong.
It happens.
I do like what LaSalle's doing though. Shout out to Darius Nichols and his staff down in Philly. I like what they're doing. One more basketball thing on the women's side. They got their first commitment of the 2026 class from Canada. Yeah, Canada. So landed. Her name is Shantae Murray. She's a 6'1" wing. Actually, pretty highly regarded in Canada. She played for the Team Canada in the U18 America Cup last year. Didn't have a ton of impact, but she's playing for Crestwood Prep this year, which is the most dominant, I believe, or one of the most dominant teams in high school teams in Canada. So pretty highly regarded. Not too sure of her recruitment before Rutgers. I haven't been able to find a ton on that, but seems pretty highly regarded. It fits a mold of what they've been looking for in terms of their wings the last couple of years. Athleticism, versatility, defense first, things like that. So yeah, it seems like her game is developing as well at Crestwood. They're actually coached by one of the more well-regarded figures in Canadian women's basketball, at least. His name is Marlo Davis. Marlo Davis is his name. Pretty well regarded if you want to Google him and all that. There's a whole feature story on him and Crestwood. So yeah, pretty highly regarded. Solid get. I believe ESPN has her ranked at 90th in the 2026 class. We'll see how the class grows from there. Last year, they had one commitment until June when they got a late commitment from Kyla Moore. Precious Young Wheeler was the only one for a while, so we'll see how this class grows. But yeah, pretty solid start to the 26 class.
Love it. That's kind of all we got for today. We're going to hopefully have a guest for this Oregon preview. We're still working to set that up, but we will have that later this week. And then we'll have our post-game show probably on Saturday. We still got to talk that through. But, I mean, we're going to have it. It's just kind of depending logistically, like what time we could all get there since it's a home game. But
Correct.
That's all we've got for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed. For me, Richie and Alec, this has been another edition of the Night Report podcast. Signing off.